Hey guys, my name is Zoe and welcome back to another episode of Zoe Bakes. Today we're going to be making creme brulees. So first of all, I changed a little bit where my camera is because last time my head was getting cut off a lot. So hopefully this is better. It's a little bit at an angle because my sink is right there. And so hopefully this is better. And let's get started. So first things first, what is a creme brulee? Last time I made cookies and hopefully all of you know what a cookie is. So this time I'm going to explain a little bit about what a creme brulee is. So basically a creme brulee is like a type of custard that you cook over the stove and then into the oven. So it forms like a type of thick pudding. And with a creme brulee, you brulee the top, which means you kind of blowtorch it with the little blowtorch. You put sugar on top and then you blowtorch it to get a nice crispy crust so you can break the top and scoop inside to get a nice custard, and they're really good. So today we're going to be making a vanilla one, although there are other options like chocolate, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started. And now we're going to go ahead and combine the egg yolks and the white sugar, and we're gonna whisk it until it's nice and fluffy and creamy. So let's do that. Okay, so the first step in our creme brulees is to, as I said, put the egg yolks and the sugar into this bowl where we're gonna whisk it. But for now, we have to crack all of our eggs. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. But since they're egg yolks, you wanna be especially careful. Make sure you separate your eggs very carefully so that you can get all the yolk, and then you just dump the yolk in there, and that's it. And we're gonna do this 9 times. Yes, that egg yolk did break, but that's totally okay. As long as you keep the egg yolk by itself with no whites, you'll be perfectly fine. So as you can see, sometimes the whites of the egg get a little clumpy and they like to stick to the side of your eggshells, but that's okay. Just keep switching the egg between shells and it should be okay. So the way you want to separate your eggs and your yolks is by first tap the side of your egg against the bowl, then sort of put your nail inside the egg like that. Then separate and bring this yolk forward and down like that. Now you have 2 shells. Now you're going to just move your yolk over and switch shells, and slowly you'll notice the egg whites come off. So now I'm going to set these aside for just a quick second. And here we have our egg whites. Yes, I know there's a little bits of yolk in there, but that's okay. And you can do what you want with the egg whites. You can throw them away, or you can make meringue with them, or make a pavlova, or anything you want that uses egg whites. So here we have our superfine sugar. It's like normal sugar, except as you can see, it's much lighter and smaller particles than normal sugar, and it gets really chunky. So now our recipe calls for 3/4 cup of superfine white sugar, which is exactly what I have here. And put it directly into our egg yolks. So now, as you can see, we have our egg yolks and our sugar in our bowl. I changed the perspective of the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing a little bit more. So now you're going to go ahead and whisk the egg yolks and sugar with the whisk until it's yellow. It's more of a pale yellow and it's nice and thick. And it's gotten a bit paler, but we need to keep going so it can get more pale. Okay, so there is our mixture. As you can see, it's a bit thicker now. You probably can't tell, but when you feel it, it's a lot thicker. There's much more resistance than before, and it's a lot paler than it was before. So now we're going to go ahead and simmer our heavy cream and vanilla on the stove. So before we get started with the heavy cream, here I have a vanilla bean. I'm going to go ahead and take a small knife and cut it down the middle so I can scrape it out and take all the little seeds inside and put it in the cream to give a nice vanilla flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so as you can see, I split it down the middle and I cut it open and got all the little seeds out, or most of them, and there's a bit on my hands. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the milk in here. Okay, so now I have the heavy cream over a low heat, and I have all of the seeds scraped out of the vanilla bean. Now we're going to go ahead and put them in here very carefully. Now we're just gonna go ahead and mix it up a little bit just so the beans, the little seeds will separate throughout the mixture so we can get that really pretty speckled look. And we're going to go ahead and heat this heavy cream just until it's simmering, which means there's little bubbles on the edges, and I'll show you guys what that looks like once we get there. But for now, we're just going to gently mix it up. Make sure you stir occasionally, just because we don't want any of the milk cooking too much on the bottom. We want to make sure it gets a nice even heating. As you might be able to tell, there's a bit of like a skin sort of forming on the top of the milk, and that's all right. It's just a protein in the milk. As it heats up, it sort of rises to the top and then dries, which is okay, but just try not to let it happen too much or you'll get a weird texture. Make sure you're stirring occasionally. So if you can see, there's bits of it sort of bubbling and moving around, which I'm pretty sure means that it is ready to go into the egg mixture. So now we're gonna do what's called tempering, which is slowly adding a hot mixture into a cooler mixture. You use this technique a lot with eggs and egg whites because it helps to keep the eggs from cooking and getting really like scrambled eggs. So we want to be very, very careful with this. And I'm just gonna add in a ladle at a time. So now that a lot of the milk mixture has been added into the eggs, we can start to add a little bit more than just a ladle at a time. Okay, now as you can see, there's beautiful speckles all throughout it, and that is looking really, really good. We're going to collect some ramekins, which I already have here. So now we're gonna go ahead and separate the mixture into these ramekins, and yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so now that they're done, I'm going to go ahead and get a roast pan, which is what a lot of people cook turkeys in, and we're going to fill it up just enough to where when you put the ramekins in, it covers them about halfway. So the hot water that we put these into help create steam so that the creme brulees can cook more evenly, and it helps them set faster. So they just came out of the oven, and the way you know they're done is that they jiggle in the middle just a little, and the edges are nice and set. So now we're going to put all of them in the fridge for a few hours, and I'll check with you guys again then. Okay, so now that our creme brulees have finished cooling, we're gonna go ahead and take them out, and we're gonna brulee them so they look nice and pretty like this. Now, they should be set and they shouldn't jiggle around whenever you shake them anymore. We're only going to brulee the ones that we're gonna be eating, so let's get started. We are only going to brulee the ones that we're gonna be eating immediately, because if you brulee them too early, the moisture underneath could get trapped and it'll make the custard soggy and it won't be crispy. And we want to make sure that once you take them out of the fridge, they aren't jiggling anymore, they're nice and stiff. That means they're set. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is prep our little blowtorch here. So first you want to get your lighter and then slowly open it so that you get this nice little blue flame. So let's get started. I have my creme brulees here, and now we're just going to lightly dust them with some sugar, just so that it coats the top. Not too much, or it'll start doing some weird bubbly things when you start heating it up. Alright, now we're ready to brulee. Alright, so now that I got my little blue flame here, we're just going to gently brush the tops, just like that. Now, as you can see, the sugar's doing this sort of bubbly thing or dewdrop sort of thing, and I believe that is just because of the sugar and how fine it is. And be careful whenever you're doing this, because the sides of the ramekin are going to get hot again. Okay, so they look really burnt in the video, but they're really not. They are nice and golden, and ready to eat. There you have it. That is how you make a creme brulee. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and please subscribe for more baking recipes and have fun baking. Bye!